Well, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're doing it to. I'm an idiot. Welcome to Bushka on Blitz's first big ticket map guide. Now, why is this happening? Because those wonderful people that pledge money on Patreon wanted it. You boys and girls are the best. You're the best. You are. Nothing. Jeez, that's the song from the Karate Kid. Yeah, so if you guys want to know what I'm talking about, click on the orange P at the top of the YouTube channel bar and go along to Patreon, have a squiz, see what you think. If you feel it's worth it, pledge $1 a video and do yourself a favour. If not, just come back and say thanks very much to the wonderful humans that have. You are pretty much wonderful humans. So, onwards and upwards, let's have a little bit of chat about the actual map guide. Why Mines? Well, Mines was the most requested and most talked about simply because it's obviously the biggest victim of matchmaking going about. If you don't get the right mediums, enough of them, or any at all, you can be an absolute sucker on this map, and through no real fault of your own. If you get people that just wander off, if your heavies go to the lighthouse, if your heavies go to a flank that's pretty pointless, then yeah, it's all going to go awry. Now, there will be conjecture on this, and not everyone is going to agree with me, and that is fine, because this is just the way I play the map and some of the things I do on the map and why I do them. But there is an entire flank on Mines which I pretty much think is pointless. And that is the eastern flank through the houses in the town. Anytime I see someone going around there, it may work on occasion, but for the most part, if you've got mediums on your team, and they go that flank and they lose the hill because of that, you want to rage. If you've got heavies on the team and they go the flank and your mediums get the hill and then get pushed off it because they've got no support, then you want to rage. Basically, the whole map is set up to funnel people towards the top of the hill above the cap circle and create great big collisions and very, very fun firefights. So that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at that as the tactic and that as the status quo. And we're going to pretty much disregard flanking around the eastern side because, to be honest, especially if you're in a big heavy tank, which is generally what will spawn on that eastern side, or a tank destroyer, which is what will spawn on that eastern side, then you're wasting everyone's time. By the time you get around the flank, map control is generally already decided. And sure, I've been in teams where that has been the case, but for the most part, it's been an absolute waste of everyone's time. And I'm telling you now, you won't be seeing me do it ever. So here we go. What we're going to look at today. Well, first and foremost, we're going to have a look at tank destroyers or snipers and where you should be sitting if you want to have a bit of a snipe, and you're in the right tank to do it. Secondly, we're going to be having a chat about mediums and map control, but no, we're going to talk about where to push. That's right, where you push, why you push, and how you push. Very important because the heavies have a role on this map and it is quite extensive. And thirdly, we're going to talk about map control and mediums, how you achieve it and what you do with it. And finally, getting a little bit creative. And there are spots on this map that can really, really benefit from creativity. Now, firstly, let's talk about mediums. That big red hello in the middle, or white hello as the case may be, that is where you should be going as a medium driver. Unless you are vastly outnumbered, you want to be in that collision up there. Unless you have absolutely no chance of winning it, in which case don't waste your hit points. But if you are a medium driver, get up that hill and take that map control. And we're going to have a look at the FV4202. Now, you'll note the Pershing on my left, numpty, doesn't push the hill, sits in spawn, moving about, having a look at the place, seeing what's going on, no use to anyone. And you can see me looking back. I've got a T54 and a Centurion against me, but that E100 there, I know Papa. I'm going to do a couple of things that give me the advantage. Now, firstly, I'm going to push past the midpoint. I'm not going to stop there. I take this shot because he hasn't pushed up yet, and I'm waiting, and if they draw in, I'm then going to get above them, and I'm going to keep them in that bottleneck. Now, why do I do that instead of running away? Because I'm now bringing the rest of my team's heavies, which are doing their job and pushing up that hill, into play. I take out the drive wheel on that scent, take out the drive wheel on the T54. The scent is going to get obliterated by Eno Papa, the E100 that's coming up the hill, and I'm now putting more guns to bear than they have, and certainly more DPM and alpha. So I'm now pulling back, just trying to keep them in front of me. Anyone that comes up from the red team will have to push all the way up the hill to get shots on me, and it means I'm less exposed and far more likely to not only survive, but to be helpful instead. Yeah, in dead. That's probably what I thought I was going to be here. But it's not the case. We do win this, and we win the hill, and we win the game quite comfortably because we push the hill. And there are times in this game when you're going to have to actually brawl for the map control. And this is one of them. And if you get yourself in the right frame of mind, you get aggressive, and you play it progressively with your heavies involved, you'll do really well. The biggest issue you're going to have one of the big reasons I'm doing mines first, people play it badly. This E50 in this game is going to kind of half block me up the top here. It's going to turn around, fumble about, not do much very well. And he just has a bad run. I don't know if that's because he doesn't know what he's doing or he's just unlucky and things go poorly and I bump him a bit, whatever. He then relocates around the eastern flank, and I think the eastern flank on this map is next to pointless. And while he's doing that, pretty much the rest of the map evolves. Because there is such a confrontation and a strong, fast, violent combat at the top of this hill here, if you flank hard as a medium all the way around, you're just giving up shots. There are spots you can actually go to and be successful. So there's three of us here. If you think you're not going to be able to get up the hill because people are just all in the one spot, you can move to the left of the cap circle, and you'll see that in a later video, and actually put fire on people as they go up that tunnel, up that channel from the rock on the left-hand side of the cap circle here. You can put effective fire up, but the E50 doesn't do that. He just kind of looks like he's going and then balks and doesn't really do much. And you'll see also, if you're in a heavy, I've given him plenty of chance to turn here. He just doesn't do it. And I've dropped everything. And you're going to have to fight that. You're going to have to understand that I could have pulled back there. They were all wanting to pull back, but you've got to get up and into it, because if you give them the hill, you're giving up map control, and suddenly you're stuck with mediums above you, heavies on the other side of you, and quite possibly, as you can see, another tank over at the lighthouse there putting up effective fire. And the Patton did the right thing. He went in, and then the E100 nutted him as he was coming back up. You'll see the E50, he has run off and is now going the entire flank. And it's all over. We've already got the top of the hill. And even though there are a lot of heavies there, I'm going to fast forward through this, and I'll show you what you can actually do once you get the top of the hill. I'm now up here, and I've got gun depression on this tank, which is key. And I can come up here and put shots down. And you'll see this is a great spot for a British medium or an American medium with decent gun depression. I don't think this even goes in, but you can see you can get it down. The Russians generally have to expose themselves a touch more to actually get shots like that in. But you don't have to stick there. It's also good to note you can be hit from like that E100 across at the lighthouse area there. He's a bit of a wasted tank now. Shouldn't have gone there. It was a bad move on his part. A really poor place for a heavy. But you'll see I've then moved down here, and I'm now putting shots in on the E100 here. And the E50, full credit to him, he has gone the right way though. He's got to the back and he hasn't pushed on them. He's actually sniping from a distance, which is a much better way of doing it once you get around there than just charging up the hill. And this is now control of the map. It's just a beautiful thing, and we can decide whether we want to stay up or now go down and flank them, because we're now going to pin them between our heavies coming up the hill and myself just rolling down the back. And there's cover, and it really makes the life of a medium shine, because you get to see if you can move about and do the right thing, you can take advantage of all kinds of situations. The poor old E4, who's pushed up here on the right-hand side to the rock and had cover, is gone because we were able to absolutely collapse his flank by firing from the back of the hill. The hill is map control. It looks down into the cap. It stops people from doing all kinds of things. Now, leading into that, where do you snipe from? Now, I'm generally going to say TDs, but there are going to be occasions where you're in a Leopard PTA or something and you can't take the hill versus 3 mediums, so you're going to snipe. those are the spots. In the spawn on the side there on the left, you can see is a decent spot. The lighthouse directly at the bottom of that map, and these two spots here, which are on the actual southern spawn, are great. Now, why is this spot great in particular? It's because it gets a wonderful look, and this is my favourite spot on the map for a TD. It gets a wonderful look at people as they move up this area here. And if they want to push past and go up into the actual funnel of the mines map, you can see I'm giving these numpties. The right flank, we've got people coming the right flank. And you can see, this is what I'm saying, that right flank, I can see them coming now, and I just don't have to do anything. They're of no threat to me whatsoever until they get right up here. And even then, I'm going to have good solid shots because you can get all kinds of cover from this area here. You can also see to the left at Lighthouse, and you'll see there's someone over there at Lighthouse, that Jackson. We can quite comfortably take him out because we have great visuals on either side. And if you get someone coming up from the right-hand side, you can ditch this area here, move over to the right of the hill, and actually effectively fight them here with your left-hand side guarded from the enemy. And by that, you can just see this IS-3 comes up. I'm in the 152. No one can hit me from that left-hand side there, and I can just, move about. Bob's my mother's brother. It's a great spot. You can support. If you've got binoculars, you'll have a bit of a clue. Anyone at the top of the hill is going to have trouble spotting you if you're far enough back. Mediums will be able to spot you from that area there where you can see that red dot just popped. The T-44 is calling me a coward. What an idiot. Mediums will be able to spot you from there, but that's neither here nor there. Now, we're going to have a look now at the other side. Now, this is if you spawn in a TD on the northern part of the map. You can duck up to the respawn where the number 2 is there, which is actually not a bad choice. You can push if you're in a fast TD with the mediums up the hill. As you can see there, Chapo's have pushed the hill. I think he's in the Scent, 7 Mark 1. Or in a heavy, that's where you should be going. But if you're going to snipe, this is a very good spot to do it from. You can see people trying to push up towards Chapo in that funnel, and you get very easy shots in here. And you can see there we ammo rack that poor old T-43. What you're going to find is that the enemy also likes this lighthouse area. Now, it's easily accessible from here, much more easily accessible from here than it is for the southern spawn area. But at the same time, you'll note where I am. I know there's someone over there in an ISU or an SU-152. There's lots of TDs on the enemy team. So I'm very, very wary of giving them the opportunity to hit me. And I'm trying to move across that little gap there so that on my left-hand side there is always rocks between me and the enemy spawn, because that enemy spawn is that TD position we were just talking about, and that's what's going to get the Tiger here. He will eventually go down to, I think it is an SU-152. And we're going to have a nice old time just pushing up on this 54 and the T-30. I think he goes in a second, but I'm making sure that I am absolutely not going to be done by the guys on my left. Now, the Tortoise is pretty low, not low enough that it can't be seen, but you'll see where he is there. He's going to disappear. He'll be vaporised in just a sec. And that's all because he's spotted, and the guys in that TD's position we were just talking about have clear shots. There he goes, the SU-152, have clear shots at that area all day long. So that's a really great spot for anyone that is actually on that spawn and wants to snipe across. Don't go there in a heavy like that Tiger 2. You're wasting your time, really. Go and push the hill. Speaking of pushing the hill, you'll note here, really important, we've got an E50 and a T54, and they've only got a little old T54. So we should comfortably carry the hill, you'd think. However, comfortably carrying the hill is not always the case. We've also got Selbrock in an FV215B 183, and I know he can play. He's in PLV. He's a very good player. He's also Selbrock.net. The T54 decides he's going to try and climb the hill for no reason. He's going to go up there. Just effing idiot. The E50 goes to that spot I was talking about below the cap circle, where you can snipe up into that area there. Guess who takes the hill? Good old Aegon in his IS-7 does the right thing and pushes up hard on their hill, gets map control for us up there and does the right thing, and I help him out by pushing very hard here. Neither of our mediums took the hill. Bear that in mind. If you've got a fast tank, it's not the purview just of mediums. If you're in an IS-7, an IS-8, something along those lines, and you can get there quickly, then push the hill. There's every chance that you'll get up there. And if you get up there in a heavy that can take some damage, gee, you can really do a lot of good for the world. Now, the E100's pushed up. This is basically where you want to be in your heavies on this map. You can see we have a tank going around the flank. We're 5 minutes 50 into the game. He'll be there in a while. Anyway, Aegon and I are just going to hold down here. Now, the important thing to do here is not be too aggressive. Most of these tanks up there don't have the gun depression to put shots down. Some will, like if you had an E5 there, something like that. You'll see the IS-4 has to really expose himself to get shots down. The E100 above me there, basically I'm counting on Aegon to keep them honest while I just stay back here. And I'm not pushing up, because if you push up hard here, you are visible to that TD position we just talked about, where I ammo rack the T43. And you can be hit quite comfortably from there with big numbers as you're side on in profile moving up the hill. So I'm just basically taking my time, really using the FV215B Selbrock, who is behind us in that TD position we talked about earlier, there he goes, he's just taken out the E100 as he went up that channel, using his big gun and spotting targets for him. Aegon's holding map control up the top. They can't cap it, they can't put pressure on via the cap circle because Aegon's got them with an IS-7, and their IS-8 didn't push. Like a silly heavy, he went to the lighthouse area, and you really shouldn't be going to the lighthouse area in a heavy tank. It's a waste of everyone's time. So here we go. The only time you go lighthouse is if you are actually supporting the hill and you can't possibly take the hill. And he may well have thought that because they only had a T-54. But in point of fact, in a fast mover like that, you'd be much better off, I think, in just going and doing the right thing. And I want to talk to you, though, quickly about that, being a little bit creative and finding different spots. Now, just here, they've got 4 mediums. We have none. We can't take that hill. We won't get there in time. What I've done is I've gone over here to the left, and this spot over here, just behind that rock, I'm not in it at the moment, and I didn't have any gameplay to show you, is one of my favourite spots on this map, because you get a clear view right up the guts of this map at all those mediums that are on that hill and think they have map control. So this is a little tactic we use quite often. If there's 4 mediums or 3 mediums and we don't have anyone that can contest the hill, or we're not in tanks that'll get there quick enough, then we actually give it to them. And you can see Aegon, I think it is, or it might even be Chapo's, in that orange tank destroyer back there. He's playing the 268, pumping shells straight up the guts. Now this is the last part. I know I've bored you to tears. Chapo's is in the Concom in the Tortoise. This is absolutely an interesting way of looking at it. If you have a look at there, they've got a pattern, they've got all kinds of mediums. We can't possibly win the hill. And Chapo's immediately says that, don't go hill, because it's not going to work. And this is one of the rare occasions when I would suggest that going to the eastern flank may be valid. If you can't possibly take the hill, then a huge lemming charge around the eastern flank in heavy tanks can be successful. However, I wouldn't advise it. So I go straight to the spot. Chapo's is going to go to a really interesting spot down here on my left. It's on the southern side of the map, and what you're going to be looking for when you see him go there in the Conqueror, he's actually got, no one can hit him from the right. He's hidden on the left, and I don't have video of it here. You can't see it physically. I'll try and point it out to you when you see where he goes. And you can go hull down over the berm or the crest of the actual hill. Now you'll see this TD position here. I'm kind of just flailing away, throwing shots up, just trying to keep them pinned, letting them see fire coming in. I'm not really visible from the right-hand side unless they get right up on it. The ST1, we track him. I blow adrenaline and do nothing to him. Chapo's is now in that spot that I was talking about, and I'm just perma-tracking that guy. trying to alternate between HE and shots, and I don't know, not really getting it done, to be honest. A little bit of a derpy moment, but we're doing all right. Chapos is now in that spot, and he's basically in a really, really strong position. He can put out fire. The only place he can get hit from is if they push down hard from the lighthouse, and they're not going to do that. Now, this is why this map can be difficult, because the matchmaking is just not very friendly. We had no real opportunity to get this hill. Chapos is punching the number on that M46 pattern. He's doing it from that spot down the bottom, and the SU12244 helps out as well. You'll see the guy that's gone round to the right has just got there, and he's not really doing much. It's a terrible spot, especially now that where he is there can be spotted and hammered by mediums from the top of the hill in that Tiger P. Now, you can see on the left, the Yag Tiger is pushed down. He's going to push and be very aggressive because he wants to get to Chapos and have a crack at him. But when he does that, this spot here can actually control the left-hand side of the map. I can't strongly enough recommend this as your TD or sniping spot on the southern side of the map. If you spawn at around the number 2 or 1, do not go there. You do not get the visual to the top of the map like you do from here. You definitely do not get the map control like you do from here. Now we're down 2-5, but this is a big mistake by the Yag Tiger. He's pushed down there and he wants to get around, but he is absolutely visible from Chapos and from me. And I can pull back here so that I'm behind the hill, not visible now to the pattern, and still be putting effective fire in. But the Yag is already in trouble. Chapos has moved down, and he's now in that spot where he can shoot across and be really successful. We're 5-on-2, but we're about to be 4-on-2. Chapos will nail him. We're just waiting for the inevitable bums rush. Now, this is what actually happens quite often on this map. People make the mistake of thinking that because it's a 5-on-2, they've got it made in the shade and they can just move down and go for the kill spam. But it's not always the case, especially if you're in a really, really strong position like this. Remember I talked about that left-hand side of the hill shielding you? Well, that's what we're going to do here. We're in trouble because we've got too much coming at us. But this position here, we move forward, we'll get that hill on our left, will no longer be visible to people shooting at us from the cap circle, and we'll be able to move down and put fire on that pattern. Chapos is doing the same thing. We're squeezing this pattern very hard. We're going to get the kill on him, and then Chapos is going to push straight up the hill to the cap circle, eliminating that J Panther who is over there at the lighthouse from visibility. And we're both on the ST1 now, and it's back to 2-3. And yeah, we carry this one pretty comfortably. So look, I hope that's been helpful for you for mines. I really want this to go, and I know this is elementary stuff for most of the guys who can really play. But for those of you who are just starting out and you're getting to this map and you're in a fast tank, push the hill, get map control. Because if you had the map control right now and you're up on that hill, you'd be able to put shots into that Pershing and stop the cap quite comfortably. As it was, Chapos got through there. The J Panther pushed around, tried to help out his mate. Just too little too late, unfortunately, and we did carry the day. So, I mean, I could go for hours on this map. There's so many permutations and small nooks and crannies on it that can be really successful and really helpful, and we just can't cover them out. And I just don't have the time, unfortunately, to devote to it. I'd love to devote more time to it, but be that as it may, I hope this is helpful for you guys, and I hope it gets you across the hub. I've been Bushka on Blitz. As always, you've been bloody wonderful. Thanks very much for your forbearance, and I hope this is helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to jump on the Facebook page, throw a few things up there, and we'll do our level best to answer them, or I will anyway. We'll just have a chat, a little bit of a conversation here under the video. As always, if you do want to join and sponsor via Patreon or PayPal, the links are at the top of the page on the banner. There's some strong official content coming out in the next week. Well, I can't tell you what it is. And I really have some interesting stuff that I want to talk about with Ruckus and Hugh Jass and have a chat to them and maybe do a few videos together. So I'm Bushka on Blitz. You've been lovely. Stay safe on the battlefield.